Hey, this is O'Neill. Welcome to the OG Network. I'm so glad that you joined us on this broadcast because over the next few minutes, I'm going to give you part one of hopefully two parts in which we're going to talk about best practices in the area of customer service. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, are you ready to get started? Because I know, like you must be feeling the way I feel when it is that I have to engage my consumer, my customer, that is. I'm excited, but I'm a little bit on edge because I don't know how it's going to go all the while. But I regard that having done business for some time now, there are some things that I've learned along the way that has made me not necessarily perfect, but a little better at doing so. So I want to share some of those practices. I call them best practices with you today out of some experiences that I've learned and likewise some things that I've been taught as well. All right, let's define before we get going here, and I had to draw this up for you. Let's define what is quality customer service according to the dictionary. It is said that quality customer service entails, catch this, providing efficient, quick, and friendly service. It is said that it is building strong relationships with customers, handling complaints quickly, and responding to consumers or customers' issues on time. Quality customer service is the best way to keep customers coming back, thus ensuring long-term success. So let's outline some things along this way so we can better define what is quality customer service. The first thing I want you to do is grab a piece of paper and pen or something of a tablet to take some notes with. You can pause the video right here and I'll be right back with you.
Okay, are you ready to get started? All right, I am too.
All right, make a note of this. The first thing that I want you to put on paper is this. When it comes to quality customer service, you've got to make sure that your business is reachable. You know, all too often, our information goes out there, and in turn, people don't know where to find us. They don't know how to find us. Is your information up to date? Is it communicating at best accurate information, such as your address, such as your phone number? Is your website working? You know, when we regard people in turn that have interest in our business, we can't afford to miss anyone. Being a small business owner, I need every person walking through the door because every person walking through the door in turn might in fact make an investment in that day. And I want to make sure that my information is accurate as possible. Are you reachable? When it is that they reach out to you, maybe you have one of those modules in your or widgets in part that allow for them to communicate with you. How quickly do you find yourself responding? You know, oftentimes I've found that there's a high price to pay for delay. So we don't want to delay now. We want to seize every opportunity when in turn, watch this, when in turn they begin to inquire of our business. Because we know in turn they have many other options before them and we don't want to miss any opportunity to engage them and hopefully get their business. All right, leading me to point number two. Respond to the customer on time. I know you and I have been in places whereby individuals, or ourselves rather, we've asked question or two only to be met with frustration because the response was not timely. Ever ever started a text message only to realize that the person on the other end wasn't even there by their phone? You and I have got to do a better job. Possibly someone who is manning your information isn't doing so. And I'm not assuming any. But the reality is we've got to trust but verify. Make sure that you look at those that are working for you as well and ensure that they value the customer as much as you do as well. And then also put measures in place whereby you can communicate in a more timely fashion. Perhaps this is a good time to set up business hours or time or convey rather when it is that you will return or respond. You know, at my son's physician's office, there's a recording that we get so often, and on the recording says, when you leave a message, your call will be returned at the end of the day. I've also engaged other consumer platforms whereby it will state within 24 to 72 hours, you will hear a response. So that helps me to alleviate any of my concerns or pressures, or not to set the standard or the bar so high that, watch this, I'm just waiting for them to fail. Allow yourself room to respond to the consumer. Yes, if you're always trigger happy and quick, fast, in a hurry into responding, What happens when it is that you're on sleep? What happens when it is that can no longer be because you're out of town or you're just dealing with other matters that are more pressing in nature. So again, set realistic expectations. And I'm jumping ahead of myself even by saying that, but I might as well go there. So let's make that point number 3. All right. Point number 3, set realistic expectations. Please don't make promises, in other words, that you cannot keep. The truth of the matter is, if you set deadlines, you've got to make sure those deadlines are reachable or realistic in turn. There's a restaurant that I used to go into many years ago, and in part, in going into those restaurants, in that particular restaurant anyhow, they would have a menu in place, and it seemed like on that menu, they would always be missing something. Something wasn't in stock, something wasn't available in turn, but it so happened to be that was the special for the day. Amazingly so, I was met with great disappointment and had to turn away. Soon enough, I stopped shopping there altogether. All right, I stopped bringing my business there. Let it not be said of you that be the same for you. So again, set realistic expectations. If you put deadlines in place, strive at your utmost to keep communication, because possibly you are met with some challenges, some setbacks along the way. But what you can do is, through your communication, reaffirm that I see that I've made a promise and I am so sorry, communicating in part what is the next opportunity or what will be more realistic time frame for you to get the end result, whatever that might be. Again, set realistic expectations. If I were you, I would present, and it depends on, of course, your business, but in the business that I am in, I've projected 3 to 5 business days, knowing that it may only take 1, but I've already given myself some room, some grace, should I find myself falling short, or maybe perhaps there's an order that's coming through that is of a more demand, and maybe it is more, it needs to take more of a priority. Or become more of a priority rather. And so I've got to make some tweaks here and there. But again, I did not disappoint or set myself up, in other words, to disappoint, because I had given myself some breathing space. All right, are you ready for the next point? Let's go there. All right, when it comes to customer service, especially a small business, we don't have what the major brands or the major 500 companies may have, Fortune 500 companies that is, may have, and that is already a set standard and consumer base even. So as a small business, we've got to be about building rapport. We've got to be about building, in other words, relationships. So in part, one of the motivations that you must have and in turn to really help cultivate a culture and a following to your brand or to your business in part is relationships. Yes, you've got to be a better person at building wholesome relationships. How are you known in your community? What are you known for? How do people feel about your business? When they engage you, do they see you as a business owner, or do they just see you as some stranger they've met on the street? In other words, building a rapport means that there's a communication that not only, it may begin at the door, but it doesn't end there. So after, certainly after they've left, that you're keeping in connection. That's why we've got to be better stewards over information received, because out of sight, out of mind. And so in part, that information is going to have us to be able to communicate with them, so they're always in the forethought of their mind, not in the background of their mind, but in the forethought of their mind, thinking about you, even when they're not ready to purchase or invest in what you have to offer. Again, we want to make sure that we build and intentionally construct atmospheres around us that cultivate wholesome relationships. Ensuring also, let me just put a point here, making sure that you have those that are working for you have the same, motivation to do the same. Hence, why you've got to check the person even at the door, behind the register, the person to whom is in and amongst, greeting and mingling, making sure that they value what you value, which is the customer at the end of the day. Things will often go wrong, but it should never be wrong in the area of customer service. All right, let's move on to our next point. All right, when it comes to technology, and I'm a big fan of technology, I realize that technology can allow us to really make some of our processes more efficient. I want to encourage you to try using a customer service software. Perhaps you're using a website platform by reason that offers that or some options to that end. Consider that as well. Technology can truly be a great friend. And if you use it well, it can turn around and be a great inspiration to those that are certainly getting information or looking for information concerning your business. So use that well. A website is key. In fact, I like to think that if you don't have a website, you're really not running a business. You can argue that if you want to, but the reality in turn is that many people will first make a visit to your website to see what you are about and what you have to offer. All right, let's move on to our next. All right, measure your customer service efforts. Could you be doing more? The reality is we can always find ourselves doing a little bit more than we've done in the last season. So I won't spend too much time on that because I think I've done a great job thus far in expressing the need to get to know and be familiar with our consumer base. So I want to encourage you to keep that development there. Keep an eye out on your customer service record. One of the things that I've learned that has aided us in our own business here at home is putting out surveys. How do people feel about what we're offering? Are they still excited about our brand? Do they know our name? When it comes to connecting with us, how do they feel when they engage us? So again, getting to know your customer service, your consumer base is important. Checking your efforts. Are you doing all that you can? Are you maximizing every opportunity likewise? It wouldn't be a bad thing to audit yourself every now and then. Perhaps once a quarter, perhaps at the end of every month. Maybe you want to be long-term about it. You want to stretch out a year or two, but at some point you've got to take a stock of how you've been doing and see if there's any opportunity likewise to do better. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next. I'm only going to give you about 15. I don't know how many I've already said in turn. I apologize. I may not even drop them in the comments section. I hope that you can, grab a hold to them for yourself. I'm just really trying to, shoot for the stars on this one. But I do have about 30. This is only about part one. And so, but I don't want to make it overextended if at best. All right. Moving on to the next, treat every customer on the same level of service. Oh, that is big, y'all. That is big. Make sure that every customer feels valued, no one in particular above another, because people watch each other. They look to see how you treat one versus the next. And so we want to make sure that we're consistent throughout, in turn, because you never know who will in turn be a blessing to you in disguise. So often we disregard people because of how they first appear anyway, how they communicate, what background, what social economical background they may have, but you just don't know whom will be a blessing to you in your business. So don't be unreasonable in how you treat people. Make sure that you're fair at best with that. And again, I admonish you that if you have a staff, ensure that they share the same value likewise. Don't assume people know how to treat people. Be always ready to verify and watch, if at best, how they perform. All right. Leading me to my next point. Pay close attention, again, to customer feedback. Those surveys, they're beneficial in part because they can be constructive in turn, in nature. How are people feeling on you? What is Yelp reporting? Find out what, what's being said on social media in part, Facebook. What's the conversation like? Perhaps you're missing an opportunity there. One of the things I made a note here and I want to read it to you. It says, when consumers or customers feel that you are listening to what they have to say, they're more comfortable investing in your product. Isn't that true? They are. More often, they're indeed more comfortable with you, and in turn, they feel that you care. I've often told people, I say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So in another sense, otherwise, they've got to see that you truly have a sincere heart or some sincerity behind your actions towards them. All right, where are we? Okay, I think it goes without saying, I've already stressed it enough. Hire employees with excellent people skills. Some people just don't know how to talk to people. And the truth of the matter is that some people are very rude, or they're abrasive or aggressive, and they don't know it all too well. That's not a great person for behind the cash register or on the phone with that individual. So in part, evaluate. Don't be afraid to even challenge the status quo. Don't even be afraid to make the shift, because it may cost you dollars at the end of the day. You know, one of the worst things you can do is have a wolf or a lion at the door. People get scared really easily. And so in part, you may need that kitten, that puppy, that pup, you know, that person that's a little bit subtle, that's a little bit more personable. That's the person that you want at the door. Not that one that is more of a bully, that one that I may be using the wrong context, so don't kill me for that on social media. But I just want to encourage you, I think you get what I'm saying, is be mindful of who you have at your door, your doorkeeper. All right. Don't make false promises. And again, that goes with making setting realistic expectations, but don't make false promises likewise. You know, don't promise a thing that you know you cannot, in other words, deliver. So please stay within your limitations, the grace that has been afforded to you. Don't go beyond such, trying to always win the customer. Sometimes you will not be able to win the customer or sequester their business. So it's better to just let it on by and, just reach for the next one behind it. All right. I've got probably about 2 more and then I'm done here with this recording. Understand the value of customer retention. You know, all too often we're only regarding new customers, but we fail to regard those that have become return customers likewise, or have the potential to become return customers. Ensuring, watch this, again, can't say it enough, that not only you share this value, but those that are working along with you. So again, retention ought to be a primary focus, or a focus rather, along with gaining new customers. How can I have them to return? Have I shared what I have to offer? So hence the information collected initially is going to allow for you to do that. That's their email, that's their phone number, their address, whether you want to do mailers, text messages, maybe you just want to hook them up on Facebook. You know, there are so many ways to keep them informed as to what's going on with your business as it goes through its seasonal changes. Last point in turn, treat your employees the way you expect them to treat your customers. That's one of the most profound statements that I'll make here on this recording. Why? Because all too often we negate looking at our customers, or better yet, watch this, our employees rather, and we forego even the opportunity to treat them like customers. Now, everyone wants to be treated the way you would, or really, we should be treating others the way we would want to be treated. And so in turn, I want to challenge you to regard that your employees can one day become your consumers, or better yet, how you treat them, they will likely treat others. All right. With that being said, folks, I'm so grateful that you chose to join us on OG Network. Look out for part 2 on best practices on how you can change your ministry or your business. All right. Looking forward, I want to encourage you somewhat to have a great day. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Hey family, before you go, I should have been saying it all throughout. I just got into a flow. But before you tap out, like, subscribe, and share in the comments below anything that you have that you would like to see in a matter of future recordings. Please be sure to share it with me. I'm so excited. We're talking best practices and I want to be able to be of service to you. So thank you again. Remember, like and subscribe. Take care.